All right, guys, let's talk for a minute about what MLA format looks like, and I'll show you an example here we can troubleshoot. So this that you're seeing right here is a sample essay that I mocked up, I think last year, as an MLA format example. Okay, so when you do an essay that is MLA format in English class, in science class, in history class, in any class, this is what yours will look like. Okay, you will get points for formatting a lot of the time, so you're going to want to make sure you get some of this stuff right. Okay, regardless of even what's in your essay, some of the outside things are going to be really important here. So we'll talk about those. So let's start. Let's just start at the top and work our way down. So you notice at the top of the document, this actually, if you click up here, you can access the header. Anything you put in the header will appear on the top of every single page. Okay, so if I write a sentence up there, it's going to appear on every single page. We don't want to do that. What you want to do instead is you want to put your last name and the page number that page is. So this is the first page, page 1. To put a page number, you're going to click in here. Let's say I didn't have that. You're going to click in there, go to Insert, Page Numbers, and it'll give you different options. You're going to pick this first one, okay? First page, second page, right? Click it, boom, it's there, and it automatically numbers. Look at this is page 1. Next page, look at this is page 2. Do I have more? Yeah, page 3. All the way down. That's the first thing, so don't forget that. Put your name, put the page number. Over here, starting at the top, giving a space to each one, you're going to have, in the following order, your name, whatever teacher this assignment is for. So if it's me, you put Mr. Jimenez. Whatever class this is for, if this is for English 9, English 10, US history, AP world history, any of that stuff. And then the date that it's due. Not the date that you did it, the date that it's due. Okay. And also notice the number of the day comes first, then the month, then the year. That's called international format. All right. We usually would write December 6, 2016. But in MLA format, you're going to use international. So make sure you pay attention to that as well. Then after that, you look at it, you've got your title here in the middle. This is obviously a second draft of something that will change. Word to the wise, do not leave first draft, rough draft, final draft in your title, right? Get rid of that stuff, leave it with an actual title, all right? It looks professional and it makes you look really good as a writer and a thinker. Moving on from there, a couple things. Notice the font. If you were to look at this, this is all Times New Roman 12 point. The entire thing is Times New Roman 12 point. From the top all the way to the bottom. Literally the entire thing is Times New Roman 12. Okay. You're going to double space it. Now, these up here are double spaced, but what I did with them was I just hit enter after each one. You're not going to do that for this. Okay. To double space it, you're going to go to this option right here, line spacing. It should automatically default to single spacing. So when you type, it'll look like that. Okay. You're going to click that line spacing button and swap it to double. And then it'll become double spaced. You're going to do that for the whole entire thing. Okay. Some people like to type it like that, like type the whole essay like that, and then when they're done, go up and double space the whole thing, or they can start that way. It's up to you. What matters is when you turn it in, it's double spaced. All right. Let's talk about another important feature here. We see some book titles. We see the title of the book Frankenstein, as well as the title of Jane Austen's book Northanger Abbey. Notice those are italicized, right? So you can, if you're writing an essay by hand, you can underline it. If it's a book title, it should be underlined, not in quotes. In a word processor, like a Google Doc or something like that, it should be italicized though, okay? So I'm gonna look through, and if I see, oh, here's a book title, that should be italicized, right? That will come out of your formatting points, so be aware of that. So make sure all of those all the way down are italicized. Last thing I'll specify here, this last sentence, it's one heck of a sentence. This is the thesis, okay? And for the sake of how you're organizing your writing, here's how it should work. You have a few sentences of intro, right? This is a paper, you can tell from the title, about love and friendship, particularly in these two novels. So it's going to introduce both of those novels without getting too into detail. Notice it's just like 4 sentences, right? 4 or 5 sentences. Then at the end of that first paragraph, at the end of it, you hit them with the thesis. Your thesis is your main takeaway point. Okay, it's if you walk away with nothing from my essay, this should be the one thing that you walk away with. That everything in my thesis beyond this point is going to try to prove. So this says, although many people think that neither love or friendship is needed in life, Mary Shelley and Jane Austen, who are the authors, both show us the effect they have in their lives, in books like Frankenstein and Northanger Abbey. So we're going to see a couple things. We're going to see how some people think that friendship and love aren't needed. We're going to see how these two authors show through their books that they are needed, right? You can push this thesis even more. You can do even more with it. But right now, that tells us enough about where we're going, okay? So this first paragraph works well. The only other thing I would say is at the beginning of every other paragraph now, so the beginning of this one, the beginning of this one, the very first sentence is called the topic sentence, if you haven't heard before, and that is like a mini thesis for that paragraph. So that first sentence should be about what the rest of the paragraph's about. So I should be able to read that first sentence, read the rest of your paragraph, and go, yes, it was about this. Because if it's not, that's a problem. So you either have to change one or the other. Right? And usually you have to change the body of the paragraph. And here is what it looks like to quote. Here is a piece of Northanger Abbey that is quoted, right? The character encountered says, "Thank you, for now we shall soon be acquainted," blah, 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 right? So when you take a quote, you put it word for word, you slap it in quotation marks. Right, there's the quote. End it with a comma, and then you end it with a citation. And this is super important. This is how you do not get like pinged for plagiarism, right? You tell us the author's last name of the book that it's from and the page number. So if I have a copy of that book, I should be able to, in Jane Austen's book, this actually should be EN, I should be able to go to page 13 and find this quote, right? And you end with a period. That's part of the sentence. That is super important. That's one of the things that I want to see you guys make sure you get right, okay? Because that's going to be really, really powerful. So here's the thing about all this. Notice that a lot of this stuff is not even about like the writing process or the stuff that you actually write about. This is all how you write about it. So what's going to have to happen is you're going to have to write your essay. Do that first. Get it out of the way. Then, before you submit it, go back, watch this video again, make sure you know all of these things, and tighten up the hinges. This is going to make your essay seem really tight. It's going to make your thinking seem very organized, and you'll win a little extra points there for having everything in order, right? It makes you look like you care. It makes you look like you have a stake in whatever you're talking about, and you didn't slop something together purely because Mr. Tremendous told you that you needed to.